Hey everybody, Dustin DePirac here, calling this Jeremy Price, and I think we're still just kind of a little bit stunned about what we just witnessed. Indiana rolls North Carolina 83-59. I think a lot of people were, thought it was possible or even likely that Indiana was going to win this game. They came in favored by 10. P.J. Harrison obviously was out, and there was a few other reasons why you might thought Indiana had the advantage, but they just rolled them. Just after it was 31-31 with about 4:14 to go, and from that point on, I think Indiana went on like a 9-3 or no 15-6 run to end the half. Then I think it was 23 to start the second half, and by like the 15-minute mark, it was a 20-point game. How Jeremy? How did this occur?
That was what surprised me really. Coming in, I thought it wasn't out of the realm of possibility for IU to put on a double-digit victory or something, but the way Carolina
like
started
this.
out,
yeah.
The way this game started out, it was back and forth, up and down, nip and tuck, and I thought, well, we just might be in for a pretty good one.
Right. No, it looked that
throughout,
way.
And those last couple minutes of the first half and those first 5-6 minutes of the second half pretty much obliterated that.
More or less. I mean, there was a lot of different ways this game worked that were really fascinating and showed, I guess, a lot of things. I mean, one, Indiana's ability to adapt, to adjust, and to impose will. Really, if this game showed anything, it was Indiana's ability to impose will. Tom Crean said that North Carolina wants to run, but so you want to be able to dictate pace. So you run on top of them. Basically, and that's really what Indiana did. Indiana knew they were playing a fast-paced game, a team that loves to push it. Roy Williams, that's all he does. He breaks all the time. And Indiana just decided to break them right back to the degree that they were breaking off of made baskets. North Carolina would score, and basically on a couple occasions, really it was just like a go route. Like Victor Oladipo and Cody Zeller ran go routes over the middle. Jordy Hulls and Victor Oladipo literally kind of threw over the shoulder, touchdown passes to those guys and found them for layups, and they were able to just break them right back. There was a couple occasions where North Carolina made shots, started to get a little bit of momentum, and feel like they were getting their bearings a little bit, and Indiana just passed over top of them, which I thought that was probably the most impressive thing they were able to do against a team that likes to run. They were able to run on top of them.
Yeah, I think that the two takeaways I got from this is, one, Indiana thrives in a fast-paced, open-court game. We saw that last year against Kentucky both times, especially that NCAA tournament against Kentucky.
Yeah.
If you're willing to run and open things up, that suits Indiana just fine. They're fully capable of scoring the ball a lot in situations like that. And the second thing is they not only beat Carolina, they beat Carolina at Carolina's game.
Yeah,
they did it the Carolina way. I mean, how many times over the last few years have you seen Tyler Zeller
do the exact same thing that
court?
Cody did, honestly. The exact same thing that Cody did. And it really is, I mean, again, there's so many times we talk about Cody and just what he's capable of and all the different facets of the game that he brings. And sometimes there's things you forget about. Now, I think everybody knows that Cody can run the floor exceptionally well for a big man, but wow. I mean, was literally just streaking. I mean, North Carolina is a fast team. They have speedy guys. They have speedy forwards. They have speedy bigs. They've got athleticism and talent. Cody literally just outran guys. I mean, it was a wide receiver beating a cornerback in bad a lot of times tonight. And that's a 7-foot man running down the floor like that. That's insane. Really, it's not fair, really, to the rest of us, honestly, that have to be 5'8" and can't do anything like that. I mean, literally, it's utterly incredible that a guy can run that fast.
It was really a dominating performess by Cody Zeller. I thought.
I thought this was one of his best nights. I mean, we've seen a lot of great nights from Cody going back to high school and whatever. This is the best I think I've seen him in a while. I mean, he's been very good so many nights, but this was one of the best where he, again, really imposed will. 20 points, 8 rebounds, 8 for 13. Only had 1 assist. I'm not sure I believe that. 4 blocks. That's another thing I actually missed to get in the game story. More than I think we've ever seen him, he protected the rim. And again, he's a very good defender, but usually what makes him a good defender is he's good positionally, and he's good at just out-athleting bigger guys. Not taller guys, obviously, because there are not a lot of those, but wider guys. He sort of is able to run around them and steal the ball from out in front of them. Rarely do you see him protect the rim both on help side and on his defender as well as he did this tonight. I think 4 blocks is a career high.
Yeah, and I think most of those were coming from the help side, coming off his man, and he was just on top of things. Really, any which way you cut it. I mean, I know he'd been sick the last couple of weeks, and clearly whatever was ailing him, he's over. And, not that he hadn't been good the first few weeks of the season, but after
he was sick and there was a difference.
All the preseason hype, the player of the year, all that stuff,
There wasn't anything wrong with him at any point. There was
Yeah.
one game, I thought the Georgia game, he was off. The
Yeah.
Georgia game, he was off. But really, even Georgetown, he came back and played solid. Tonight, he was dominant. Tonight was the first time you've truly seen him dominant. I mean, North Carolina had no answer for Cody Zeller, and that was kind of understood from the get-go, but it became very, very apparent as the game wore on.
Yeah.
Defensively, the way Indiana was able to turn things up, pressure the ball and get after guys really kind of changed things, especially in the second half. North Carolina had started the game 17 for 33. That's where they were at with 4:14 to go when it was tied at 31. They were 2 for 8 the rest of the half as they fell behind 9 points. From that point on, to start the second half, they went 1 for 20. And North Carolina was shooting the ball lights out before that. They went 1 for 20.
Yeah.
And few reasons for that. One, the biggest kind of change that Tom Crean pointed out, they moved Will Sheehy onto James McAdoo, which looks like a mismatch and really should be a mismatch because McAdoo's got 30 pounds and 3 inches, and he's, a preseason All-American in some places, by basic math, Will Sheehy should not have a shot in that. But Will Sheehy's Will Sheehy, and he doesn't listen to conventional wisdom or anybody or anything. And Will just attacked him because that's what Will Sheehy does. And he held him to 0 for 5 in the second half. He did not score. James McAdoo, All-American, preseason All-American, top 10 recruit a year ago in the 11 class, 0 points in the second half. Will Sheehy was all over.
Yeah, I thought probably the biggest difference. I mean, I didn't think Indiana did anything drastic defensively. The biggest difference was the ball pressure was better.
Ball pressure was very good.
In the first half, McAdoo and some of the other big guys were going to catch the ball 12, 14 feet from the basket because they were allowed to face up, knock down those wide open jumpers. Those jumpers were now contested.
Yeah.
McAdoo wasn't able to get Sheehy posted up down low. He was 12, 14 feet from the basket, and then Sheehy's quick enough to actually get up in him
from there.
And not afraid that he's going to drive by, which
Right.
he could do against some of the bigger guys. So
exactly.
I think that was really
Yeah.
really the essence of the defensive change there. That
Right.
and Carolina got a little impatient, I thought.
They very much got impatient. As it started to get away, you saw North Carolina just going after more shots, hunting more shots, really. And, it was clearly they were taken out of their game at that point. Another guy who did a phenomenal job defensively, Victor Oladipo, as per usual, holds Reggie Bullock, one of the better scorers. He's going to end up being, I think, one of the better scorers in the country. He held him to 2 for 9, shooting 5 points.
Yeah, they held Reggie Bullock to 5 points, Leslie McDonald to 2 points, with Hairston out. That was the two primary perimeter threats for North Carolina.
Right.
And they never let those guys get going, especially from 3. I mean, Carolina finishes 1 for 8 from 3.
Yeah.
And that one was from Marcus Page. So
right.
That's doing the job on the perimeter defensively.
Absolutely. And on top of that, another great night for the point guards. It's clear that this experiment is working more and more as game goes on, as season goes on. Jordy Hulls, Yogi Ferrell, 14 combined assists, 1 turnover. Hulls might have had, as good as he's been, you could argue this is probably his best all-around night. He shot it better. He still shot fine. He was, 5 for 8, 3 for 5 from beyond the arc, 13 points, 8 assists, no turnovers. He was moving the ball phenomenally well, making great decisions, and rebounding really well. 7 boards. 6-foot kid against North Carolina gets 7 rebounds.
You could make the case if this was a closer game, he likely would have had a triple-double.
Yeah, he was close. Exactly. If he got to play it out, it wasn't out of the question. Jordy Hulls would have had a triple-double. I mean, basically, there's just so much you look at it on the stat sheet, it's bizarre to think. And you just thought about this. I mean, I did the research to look back. I mean, the game they lost their freshman year, not their freshman year, whatever, Tom Crean's first year. They lost 83-58 to Wake Forest. It was almost the exact same score on the dot. We're just short of 4 years ago at this point. And, that team 4 years ago that's getting run out of the joint by a number 15 team comes back and beats the number 14 team in the country by almost the exact same margin. Just everything on the stat sheet is kind of stunning and really emphatic. I mean, I think a lot of people, wondered after what Duke was able to do last week. They were able to beat Louisville, win the Battle of Atlantis. They've beaten Kentucky and Louisville, who a lot of people had as number 2 and number 3 coming into the season. Duke was able to beat both of those teams, and I think a lot of people thought, well, maybe Duke deserves at least has a very, very real argument for number 1 at this point. And really, if you were to do it on power points, Duke probably would deserve it, but Indiana pretty much proved, I think, top to bottom, that they're the number 1 team in the country.
Yeah, I thought this was... you can call it a statement game. It was a little more than a statement with
it was a little
the
more
whipping
emphatic.
that they put on.
Yeah.
But they proved that they are deserving of the number 1 ranking at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of frightening when you think that they could actually get better once Perea and
I mean,
and
really,
Elston get back.
this game gets them out of the woods. I mean, really, I think if you looked at it and said, okay, without Perea, without Elston, without Jerkin, what are the games that Indiana had to be concerned about? Obviously, Georgetown, and really that experience did a ton for them, basically, because they're not going to face a team that plays bigger across the board than Georgetown. So this was a step, in the opposite direction in terms of length and size. They'd already kind of proven they could do that, and I think that, showed them a lot. And really at this point they're pretty much out of the woods with that. I mean, the next two games are Central Connecticut State and Coppin State, and I haven't looked at the rosters of those two teams, but I'm going to presume that they probably don't have the sort of length that's going to scare Indiana. Then after that, they're back for Butler. Derek Elson still has a ways to go, and they said, Tom Crean said probably after Christmas, but by Butler, Hana Perea and Peter Jerkin are going to be available, and they're going to have post depth.
Not sure
as if they needed anything else at this point.
Not sure Butler's the best game to get introduced if you're Perea and Jerkin, but
yeah, that's going to be an issue. They're not going to have an easy night, but yeah,
but there's at least
they're going to have depth there. They're going to have those options. So, wow. Also, real quick, Victor Oladipo and Will Sheehy were pretty much hysterical tonight. If you can watch the tape of Victor, literally just randomly, for the heck of it, singing "Bad Boys" into the mic, just because he's Vic. That's what he does. But yeah, Indiana is number one, and tonight they pretty much looked it. Thanks, guys.